There we go. All right, so just saying this again, this class today will be probably a little bit under an hour. I have an hour and a half blocked off, so feel free to ask any questions because I have time to answer them. And if Mary has your email, you will get a link to the slides, and you also get a link to the recording. The slides will have a lot of links in them that you can click on to buy the certain gear options, but you can also kind of think of it as, I just need, Tim recommends to buy a microphone, and then you can, on your own, find a microphone to buy if you so choose. You don't have to use the ones that are linked here. Prior to talking about things you can buy, we're going to just talk about general things to do when you have to think about setting up a Zoom meeting or any online platform. The first thing is to check your appearance. Just make sure you put your best face forward, so to speak. So hair, make sure you're wearing proper clothing, that sort of thing. The next bullet point is, do you need pants? At this point, I have peppered this little presentation with things I find humorous, also so you don't have to listen to me the entire time. So, do you need pants? And we will open this little video.
Goodbye.
It's kind of short.
All right. Talk to you guys
Bye.
tomorrow. See you guys.
Tony!
Can you hear us?
Tony!
Oh no! Don't. Jen, call him. Oh my gosh! Hold on, I'm gonna text a couple pictures of that. Oh. Oh. Oh boy.
What's up?
Tony, I can see you when you're
We can all see you.
So that's pretty much my humor level. And I found that funny, but it also kind of is a good reminder to wear pants. Another thing to check are if other people are using the internet. If you have a household and you have 3 people who are watching YouTube videos or Netflix, and you experience like bad call quality, so the sound isn't that good, or the video stutters and is really pixelated, it may be because other people are using the internet. So for important meetings, I recommend you try and claim the time and say, if there are any issues, I'm the only one who's going to be using the internet, so this meeting is going to be the best quality it can be. Test the internet. An easy way to test your internet connection is just to go to Google, type in the Google search bar, speed test. And then the first result will be run speed test. You click on this and you want to make sure those numbers are big. The first number, you'll be fine if the number's about 10. The second number, you'll be fine if the number is about 5. So 10 down, 5 up, and there's a little arrow. So this is good enough. And this will change throughout the day. Do you have pets? So personally, if I'm on a call and there's a pet in the background, it's kind of awesome just because pets I like them. I like dogs, cats, all of the furry animals. However, if you have a pet that barks, or God forbid, you have a bird, they can really derail conferences and just calls in general because they can be very loud. Next thing to check is, are other people in the room? So one, you may not want to be in a conference and other people be in the room and hear what you're saying, but on the inverse side, you may not want people in the room to make noise while you're doing a call. So last week, me and my wife ran into this issue because she was on a call and I was on a call, and you could clearly hear her on my call, and you could clearly hear what I was saying on her call. So if we had kept in separate rooms like we are right now, you should be all fine, should be set. Next thing is what is behind you. So whenever you join a meeting, you'll kind of get a little preview window of what your video looks like. Just make sure what the stuff that's behind you is stuff you're okay with being behind you. Also make sure it's not too cluttered or anything like that. And I have some pictures I can show you in a little bit that'll kind of illustrate that point. And do you have anything which makes noise? My coworker has a chair that is extremely squeaky. So if he moves at all on a call, you can hear the chair squealing in pain. And that's just something you have to take into account. And other things are like if you have any dangly jewelry, and keyboards can sometimes be very loud. Right. Is there a hardware, software option for filtering background noise during a live broadcast? That's a great question, and there is. Software, basically all of the devices that we're going to look at have the software kind of built into the hardware, where it will try and find sounds that it doesn't think are, for lack of a better term, human, like human noises, and it will try and filter those out. So like if you have a vacuum cleaner that's running in the opposite room, the software is going to try to distinguish between the vacuum cleaner and your voice. There are additional software things you can buy that do the cleanup a little nicer, but those can start to cost a lot of money. Another thing to note is that's kind of why I mentioned pets, because if a dog barks, it's a short sound, so the software and the hardware won't necessarily be able to filter that out in time. And we'll also go over different types of mics that are better at just capturing what you're saying and not what the ambient sounds are in the room. I also have another 2 YouTube videos you can watch. I will click on one of them because it's probably one everyone's seen before. And if you haven't,
scandals happen all the time. The question is, how do
should.
democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's right, carry on.
My apologies.
What's this going to mean for the...
So that wasn't a Zoom meeting, but that was actually on BBC. So it can happen to the best of us. All right, so those are some things you can do prior to a meeting. This is stuff you can do as you're joining into a meeting. But first, I have some photos to show you to kind of show you different lighting conditions. And I ran around this morning for about 10 minutes trying to find examples and taking pictures of myself with the forward camera of one of my phones to kind of simulate what a non-dedicated webcam would pick up. All right, so this photo is taken of me in front of a window. You can kind of see that with the window in the background, it lets in too much light, so my face is kind of obscured with just the brightness. So that's bad. So you don't want to do this in front of a window. Next is kind of just me facing that same window, which kind of fixes all of that. And it makes my face kind of lit up and bright, and you're able to clearly see me. This one is me in a dark room, so it looks kind of crappy. I see a hand is up. Is there a question? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Next one is camera position. As you can see, this is an incredibly flattering photograph. This is me with the camera below me. So one thing to note is you'll want to have your computer, so whatever is taking the video, you want the camera to kind of be straight on, because you see this is kind of straight on and my face looks a lot better than here. And this is if the camera is too high above your head. So no matter what I'm doing, it looks like I'm bored in this picture because you can't see my eyes. So I could be doing a lot of work, paying attention. It just doesn't look like that. And this is a background that is kind of busy. So if you're on a Zoom meeting call, one issue is that more processing power will be taken to render each individual thing in the frame. So if you look at even this example, it's just rendering white around my head. So it's pretty easy. So you're not going to get artifacting. Here, if I move it all, it'll try and re-show all of the books. And also it's kind of distracting. So I guarantee some of you have already seen that I have a picture that is framed of a sloth in the top left. And that's far more interesting than my face right now. And the last photo is, again, me in front of a window, or in this case, door. And it's all washed out. It's hard to see me. Mary just brought up a good point. Am I going to tell you guys about the skin blending filter? And yes and no. I'll talk about it now, but I wasn't going to. So one thing you can do with Zoom and with a lot of these other programs is they will have kind of filters and automatic settings they can do. Skin blending, I believe, is just kind of gives you it cleans up pores and stuff like that. So it makes your face more like a cover of a magazine. Some other Zoom things you can do is you can take away the background and add like Hogwarts behind you or a Library of Congress behind you. So you can change your own background to hide what's behind you in your room. Now, when you join, do a final look of the image. So whenever you join a meeting, again, a screen will pop up that shows the video of what other people can see, and you'll just want to do a double check. There is an option to join the meeting muted. You generally want to check that just so you don't accidentally join a meeting and keep talking to someone else. And also while you're in the meeting, if you're not talking, one of the best practices is to mute yourself so sound can't accidentally come through your microphone. If you are experiencing any issues with your sound quality, try turning off other software that you might be using on your computer. And sometimes other software will take over mic inputs. So for example, I use 8x8 at work, which is a phone service. And if I run 8x8 and Zoom at the same time, some wacky things will happen because they will fight each other for control of my microphone. Test the internet again. And another thing is, if you're on Wi-Fi, you want to be as close to the router as possible because that will make the internet speed and internet connection better. But the absolute best is to physically plug in with an Ethernet cord. Are you using the correct mic and video? If someone can't hear you, for example, in Zoom, there will be an option on the bottom left for you to select what microphone you're using and what video you're using. And just make sure you have the correct one set. And just do a final test. Zoom and a lot of other programs will allow you to test your audio prior to joining the call. And you can go ahead and test away to make sure that you can hear and speak before you enter the meeting. All right, so the next section is some cheap-ish stuff to buy. So these are items under $50. For lighting, I kind of showed you some of the different lighting scenarios, but here are some direct links to buy certain things. If you buy a desk lamp, you can make sure that your face is always lit. And if you have windows that are too bright, you can buy blackout shades. There are a couple different headset options. If you don't care how it looks, bigger is better. So we'll click upon this. And this is fairly cheap. So this is $40. It looks atrocious. It looks honestly similar to what I use, but it comes with a microphone and headphones. So you want to buy something like this if you just want good audio quality that's better than your laptop and you don't really care how you look. You can buy something like this. If you care how you look, you can always use earbuds. Now, the reason why I recommend using earbuds, even if you have a laptop that can that has a speaker and microphone, is because it's always better, in my opinion, to have the speaker in a position where it can't hear, or have the microphone in a position where it can't hear the speaker. And that's what this will allow you to do. Plus, they're earbuds, so they kind of hide in your ears. And then there's another one. For microphone, the microphone on your laptop is going to be good enough. If you want a better microphone, or if, for example, you want to get into podcasting or you want to record a video and do a voiceover, you're going to want a dedicated microphone. Pretty much the only one I like that's under $50 is the Snowball by Blue. And this is also one of the microphones I use. And it does sound better than what I'm currently using, but my wife is using our microphones at the moment. I also just got a notice that my internet connection is unstable. So hopefully that message goes away. All right. As for getting a camera in the under $50 price range, right now, it's definitely a good luck with that sort of thing. Since a lot more people are working from home, all of the good microphones, and not all the good microphones, but all of the good video cameras have essentially been bought, and they are all out of stock. If you are using a phone to do these meetings, one thing I would recommend, because you want to keep that video at eye level, is you can buy a small little tripod for your phone. So not only do you not need to hold this, but you can also put this somewhere, angle it, raise it up, lower it down, and it will kind of give you more control than what I currently do, which is I will put my phone and rest it against a giant water bottle. And it's also relatively cheap. So this one's $30. And also if you're holding your phone, you can move it around, which can be distracting. Now, if you want to go super fancy, you can buy a green screen, which will allow you to use those filter zoom offers a lot easier, because it's very easy for the software to determine if something is green versus if something is your face. And you can then do all of the fun backgrounds the Zoom offers. And the prices only go up from here. Are there any questions so far about anything? I'll unmute people.
Yeah, all pixelated.
My video is pixelated. All right, just giving a short break to see if anyone has any questions. All green screens are green screens all created equal? Great question. Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I don't actually have a link here, because there are green screens that you can just affix to the back of your chair, and then they store up easy. So those are kind of neat. The other option is kind of just a green blanket behind you. But if you get that, then you need like a wall to hang it on or some sort of mounting system. But yes, if you have a green sheet, it will be pretty much the same level of green screen as any other green screen. You just don't want it to be shiny is the only option. But if you just search green screen on Amazon, you'll find plenty of them for under $50. All right, so I will continue on to the slightly, and I will also unmute myself. All right. Next tier pricing. All right, so these are things that are under $200. And at this point, I'm of the mindset of, do you really need this? So your laptop, the speaker and microphone setup is good enough. If you buy a dedicated microphone like the Snowball and some headphones, then you're moving on into the really pretty good category. And in order to go from the pretty good category, like solidly good, into great, you're gonna have to spend some money. So you definitely don't have to buy this stuff to make a good, to have a good video call. But if you want the best of the best video cameras, all right, this Logitech one is probably my favorite. It's the C920S, and it should be available for $70. However, you cannot buy it right now because it's one of the best. It is completely sold out everywhere. And trust me, I looked for about 20 minutes earlier today when I was putting this together, and it is sold out, but I can buy it on Amazon for like $160, which I don't recommend. But this video camera will give you a lot better quality than the built-in video camera that's on a laptop or smartphone. The other option is from Razer, actually. And the reason why this one is really nice is because it has a light ring. So it basically forces you to have good lighting on your face. So almost in any situation, your face is going to be very visible, which is good. And it's also a good camera. But again, it is sold out everywhere. Now, the next tier of kind of earbuds would be Bluetooth earbuds. So these are ones that you just put in your ear and you don't have to worry about cables. You don't have to worry about cords. You can walk around with them. You can use them separately from this as well. So the Jabra Elite 75Ts are brand new. They are exceptionally well reviewed, and they have 7 hours of battery life. They're comfortable, all of that fun stuff. So if you want Bluetooth earbuds and you will use them for more than just this, so these are also good for just walking around and listening to music kind of thing, these are a good option. Now, they are going to be slightly expensive. They are $180. You may be able to find them on sale for maybe $150 around this point in time. But since they're one of the best, they are going to have a price to match. Now, I have a short video I'm going to show, and this is just someone doing a microphone test on, I think, 4 or 5 of the top Bluetooth earbuds at the moment.
Doing today, and that's a mic test. Today's contenders, we have the AirPod Pros, we have the Galaxy Buds Plus, we have the Jabra Elite 75Ts, and then, of course, the Google Pixel Buds 2. We're starting with the gold standard of headphone microphones, and those are the AirPod Pros. And next we have the Galaxy Bud Plus. The first generation of these was not so hot in the microphone department, but they definitely upped their game in the second gen. All right, coming to you live from the Pixel Buds 2. Here we are. This is how they should sound. How do they sound? All right, these are the Jabra 75Ts. They also came out this year, and they're known to have really great sound quality, but how does their mic sound? Can you hear me? Although you can hear me really clearly on the Pixel Buds.
All right, so that was just a quick video. If you want to click on that again, you'll probably get better results by watching it instead of having me stream it, but I just wanted to kind of show it real quick. So those would be the options for Bluetooth earbuds. Now, I will say if you have a Mac computer and you have an iPhone, I would definitely go with the AirPods just because of the compatibility. And if you are using a computer that is older or that doesn't have Bluetooth, I have a link to I will fix that link, but I will have a link to a Bluetooth receiver that's around $10. All right, so moving up for the more expensive microphone, I personally really like Yetis, mainly because they are very much plug and play. And there is this Yeti option, which is the Blue Yeti, and it was in stock this morning, but you can buy these for generally around $130. So it may not be available on Amazon as of 2 hours ago, whenever I was putting this together, but Best Buy, eBay, Target, they'll all have, Walmart might have this in stock, and this is a pretty good one. Now, if you are more interested in doing a conference style meeting where you have multiple people in the room, you do not want to have everyone have their own microphone and everyone have their own headset. That can cause problems. So what you can do in that case, so if like you're doing a family meeting where you have 4 people at your house, they have 4 people at their house, and you want to have a video call, a conference speaker is a good option. The one I have experience with and the one I've used before is the Jabra Speak 410, fairly cheap. And it basically has software and hardware designed, so it is a big speaker and it is also a microphone, but it will not pick up what it is broadcasting, if that makes sense. So if you're doing a call with multiple people in the same room, this is a good option. And you can also use this as a speaker just for your phone to make it louder anyway. So it's useful outside of it being a conference call device. All right, now if you have money to burn, these are things that are expensive, but awesome. So are there any questions before we get to the money to burn category? I guess I'll unmute people. All right, so everyone's unmuted. So if you have any questions.
I have a question, Tim.
Okay.
That last thing that you were showing for the conference speaker, is that good for something like a staff meeting where you might have, let's say, 10 people in a room as opposed to like a family meeting? I'm thinking the conference speaker, the size of the room and the number of people, like, can you advise us on that a little bit?
Definitely. So that is exactly the use case that this is built for. Is a smaller room. So I mean, we're not talking about like a 30 foot by 30 foot. Actually, that's probably a smaller room. We're not talking about a big conference center or anything like that. But we are talking about if everyone is in an enclosed room, like a select board meeting room. This will work great for that. There's an additional question about it, which is what is the size of it? The best way I can describe it is it's like a 6 or 5 inch diameter circle. Not too heavy, and it looks a lot like this. That's cost. All right, buy now. This one is $130. I was able to find it on either Best Buy or Amazon, I forget, for that price right now. Now, if you want a higher quality version, you can go to just search on Jabra for conference speakerphone, and you'll find higher quality versions, or like more expensive versions of this. But this is the under $150 one that I've personally used, and I like it.
It's worth asking questions. Is there some way to improve the quality of the Zoom so that that music doesn't get distorted? Isn't that what you're after?
For improving the quality of Zoom in general, specifically for like audio, for music listening, the best thing you can do for that is get better internet, unfortunately, is the option there, because you're limited on the upload speed and everyone else is limited on the download speed. So both of those things need to have fairly good numbers. And the good numbers would be 30 down and 10 up. And depending on where you are in New Hampshire, sometimes that is not possible.
So somebody just asked that question, huh?
Yep. But yes, the Jabra Speak, it's also really good for if you have a phone, you can connect it to the Jabra Speak and you can just use a phone to run the meeting if you want like a quick and dirty meeting. And the audio quality is good. It's not great, but it's what I use at work. And
You
it's
mean a
served us
hard
well.
line, like an actual phone line? You're actually plugging it in?
Oh no, sorry, cell phone.
A cell phone, okay.
Yep, I just carry around my cell phone and a speaker and kind of just set it down in the middle of a little conference room, and 4 or 5 people will sit around it at a table. It'll just be in the center of the table. And I haven't had any complaints, and the audio quality for listening to what other people are saying through the speaker is also good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
At 30 down and what up?
And do we have to mute when we talk? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. You can mute yourself if you have nothing that you want to say, though, or any questions you don't want to ask. One other thing, one other thing I will say about the Jabra Speak is you can plug it in via USB and it will charge itself, but it also will work without a charger, without it being plugged in. And it has like 6 hours of talk time or something like that. So a pretty substantial amount. I honestly don't know how much talk time you get in real world scenarios because I've never used it for more than 2 hours at a time, but it has always been fantastic for those 2 hours. Would the Jabra Speak help when talking with young and noisy children? The Jabra Speak will determine that children are talking, and it will loud and clear allow the children to be heard. All right, could I repeat the numbers 30 down and what up? So I will actually do a speed test again just to remind you of how to do it. I just type in speed test into the search bar and I hit run speed test. Let's see if my internet has improved since the first time. So you want like a great amount of speed would be 30 down and 10 up. Because whenever you are talking, you are sending information. What is passable and like solid would be 10 up, or sorry, 10 down and 5 up would be baseline numbers I would want for a meeting. But more is better. we're going to move on to the money to burn category. All right, money to burn. So break open the piggy bank. All right, first thing you can do. So I don't know how many of you are watching this on a laptop or how many of you are watching this on a phone, but wouldn't it be nice if you had the screen just a little bit bigger? I completely agree, especially for conference calls with like 10 or so people. Zoom allows you to view everyone's face at once. Now, if I'm on a small laptop screen, that's fairly small and I can't really see the people. But if I hook my computer up to a TV, I can see everybody. So this is a 50-inch TV, $260. So it's a fair bit of money, but not like extremely high costing. And I would just plug in my computer to this, and now everyone gets a lot of real estate space on the screen. So it's just really easy to see things. So that's one thing you can do. All right, the next thing is a wireless headset. So there are certain headsets that are specifically designed for conferences, for doing like these sort of video conferences. I believe Mary is using one. I believe Mary may actually be using this model or a slightly different model. But basically these are built specifically for conferences, for video conferences. So they are, one, supposedly very comfortable, and two, supposedly have really good audio quality. And these also have the software and hardware included in them to kind of filter out unwanted background noise better than your average speaker or average microphone setup. So these are a good option if you just want to buy one device. Normally these should be about $160, I believe, but because they are all sold out, everyone has raised the price on them. But you may still be able to find them. Basically the entire Jabra Evolve line are good, and I've heard very good things about them. The 75 is, I believe, the top of the line model. But you can always get like the Jabra Evolve 45 for less money. Now, laptops. Yep, if you're experiencing bad quality or you just want to buy a new laptop, laptops are going to be important for doing these sort of conference calls. Here's a link to Dell, Mac, and Lenovo specific models. And I picked just the ultra portable ones, so the ones that are very easy to carry around with you. The XPS 13, 13 signifies the screen size. This is a good computer, good laptop. We have the Mac option, and this is honestly a great, in terms of high quality value, for $1,000. This is a good computer. Sorry about the clicking. I nervously click my pen. And then we have a Lenovo option that is cheaper. So buying a new laptop, you can always do that. Newer laptops will be able to get more out of an internet connection, and newer laptops will also have better video and microphone capabilities just out of the box. So if you don't want to buy a portable one, this thing is going to sit on your desk. I've also linked some enterprise options. Enterprise options are generally, they will last longer, is one way to think about it. They're built more like tanks. If you would rather have a desktop, I have a couple options here. I'm not going to go into all of them. And then if you want to get fancy, oh, and as Mary pointed out, we're going to be doing a program on how to buy a device on May 12th. Is the first Zoom class that the library did maybe 6 weeks ago available still? I believe so. And I'm not sure if, oh, I don't think that was the class that I re-recorded. I think I re-recorded the Google one. But yeah, Mary should have the link to that, I believe. I could also be lying, but Mary will know the correct answer to that. Now, oh, okay. There was a privacy issue and we can't share it. Got it. But we can always do another class like that again. And the last one on this page is something you really don't need, but is kind of awesome. So if you remember early on, one of the things I said was if you're not talking, mute yourself. But sometimes, and I've experienced this, Zoom is kind of hard to get to once you are watching something else or you have the Zoom meeting on in the background and you're trying to work on a paper that's related to the meeting. Sometimes it's hard to go into Zoom and to mute yourself. One thing, something like a Stream Deck will allow you to do is set up physical buttons to click to do certain tasks. So no matter where you are, you can click that button, or no matter what you're doing on your computer, you can click a button and it will mute you. No matter where you are on your computer, you can click another button or click the button again, it will unmute you. You can set up the same buttons to do the same with video on, off. You can set the buttons to do pretty much anything you want. Again, this is definitely not something you need, but it's something that's pretty awesome. So for example, on my headset that I use, I have a physical button that I can click to mute myself and it glows red. So I know if my microphone is muted. So if you notice, I'll turn my microphone off. In Zoom, it still showed my microphone as not muted. So I didn't have to worry about going to the correct area in Zoom to mute my microphone. I just click a button and click it again, my microphone goes on and off. And that's something the Stream Deck allows you to do very easily. And it will also allow you to, you can set up a one button click to record a meeting. You don't have to futz with any clicking through menus or anything like that. But this is advanced. I also have a link to a short kind of tutorial on some of the things you can do with it and how to set it up. But it looks daunting, but it is fairly easy. Now, I always inevitably get a question of what do you use? So I've linked all of my stuff here. If you want to just get what I use on a daily basis and what I've found to work. My personal favorite is the suit, and if we have time, I can show that, but it's also more of a humorous thing. And I will do a quick plug. So currently my favorite site to go to for reviews is the Wirecutter. And basically if you're looking for, so when making this, I was double checking my knowledge in terms of what good microphones were. And I just typed into Google the Wirecutter. So Wirecutter, best microphones. Searched the Wirecutter, the tools to ace every video meeting. March 12th, audio equipment and speakers Wirecutter. So you just kind of click on it, the best USB microphones for 2020. Click, and then it's a nice little review site that gives you different options. It turns out I was right, yay. Also great, and then they'll have a budget pick. So I generally like their reviews. They also buy it so they don't receive the video or the, they don't receive the products, so they don't feel obligated to, they don't receive the products for free, so they don't feel obligated to give something a good review based on that. So if you're looking for like a quick, top 3, top 5 list, I do like the Wirecutter for those sort of things. All right. I realize I packed in a lot of information into a short amount of time, and I kind of blitzed through it, but I wanted to get to the end in under an hour, so people could ask questions for their specific needs. And just to give everyone an overview in case anyone needed to leave at 1. So I didn't like go over by 5 minutes and then someone has to leave before I was able to answer their question or before they were able to get to the point where they got the answer they were looking for. So I'm ready for any questions or anything like that. And also if Mary has anything to add, that would be awesome, because I'm sure Mary has different experiences with calls than I do. Can
I
Zoom
have a
audio support stereo sound? I think it does. I think it can support it. So like the left-right balance, but I believe it will default to mono. So one sound source if the audio quality, if your connection isn't that great. So that could also be a internet issue for that kind of stuff. Yep, ready for questions or for Mary to give her tips and tricks?
Tim, you've given me all sorts of possibilities. I'm going to go spend a whole lot of money. Thank you. My husband thanks you.
Perfect. I really need to get affiliate links so I start making money on people buying stuff.
Exactly. No, this is really, really helpful. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, but do I have to go through chat?
No, go ahead, Deb.
It was an experience I had yesterday. It was the first time I had a doctor's appointment through the computers. And he could hear me fine, but what was happening when he spoke, that it was all like very staticky. And he didn't know how to correct that, and I had no idea what was going on as well. But he said one other of his patients had mentioned that that was happening to their conference call. So I don't know, listening to what you're saying, would it be equipment? It was Nashua to Peterborough. I don't know what was going on, but it made it very difficult for me because he not only is somewhere from another country, he has an accent, and then trying to decode through the static, what he was saying was really tough.
Yeah, so there are a couple different options. One option would just be the generic, first thing I would look at would be the internet connection. If you either have a bad download speed at the time or he had a bad upload speed at the time, that would cause it. Another thing is you can, if either of you are on phones, sometimes the cell service will be bad or good, depending on where you are. Also with phones, sometimes there will be an option to change from, I wish I could pull it up in front of me, but I can't. There will be an option to select the speaker option versus the normal microphone option. And if you select the speaker option, it will generally try and pull more of the surrounding sounds.
Yeah, actually, we were on, well, I was on a phone because he was doing FaceTime. So if to have done that on, would he have had to do that on, yeah, I would have had to do that on my end because mine was coming through very, like I said, staticky.
Yeah.
So where would I have gone on my phone to do that selection?
If you're doing it in Zoom, it's just, and using your phone, on the bottom, there's an option for microphone. And if you click on that, there will be an option for speaker. So sometimes switching that will be beneficial, but it sounds like if he was able to hear you and you weren't able to hear him, it's probably an issue on his end.
Okay. Yeah, he was mentioning he thought maybe it was the microphone that he was using. But.
Yeah, which is possible. Do I have any experience with StreamYard, which seems to support lectures without slides and audience participation better than Zoom webinar? If so, what is it? I have never heard of StreamYard, but it's definitely something I can look at. StreamYard. All right. Easiest way to create professional live streams. Looks decent. Yeah, it looks like it links with Facebook Live, YouTube, LinkedIn, which is honestly pretty basic and what you want. Yeah, definitely check it out. You're planning to use it for a summer program. Okay, yeah. I have no experience with it, but if it says it can do something, I would definitely just say test it beforehand. And it's something I can also look at because I like learning new things. And there are a lot of options besides Zoom. It just so happens that Zoom seemed to gobble up most of the business for new customers, mainly because of their free options.
But I would reiterate what Tim's saying, test it, Mary, because we thought we had a FaceStream live feed working and it didn't work from the library, even though we had run it before. So test and test and test again.
Yep. And also something I like to do is test on different computers because you may have a computer that you have at home that is working great for something, and then you do the exact same thing on a different computer and you can have a different result.
Makes sense. So Tim.
Yep.
I'm part of a woodwind quintet, and
okay.
What is it that I could use or we could use, do you think, for us to be able to rehearse together or perform together?
So if you don't care about the video as much, one of the things I like to recommend is podcast software.
Podcast software. Okay.
Because these are generally built for getting great audio quality. Where is the one? So I've tested one of them, but for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called because that is a issue I have, is my memory sucks. But I'll put it in, I'll find it and I'll put it in the bottom.
Great.
Best podcast software for remote, maybe. Squadcast. There we go. So I'm just going to drag that over here. Please open. Yep. This is paid, so you will have to pay money. But this is relatively new, and one feature they are going to come out with over this summer is the ability to also record the video. But this has a lot of automated controls in terms of level auto balancing and stuff like that. So this is an option I would look into. There is a 7-day free trial. So if it doesn't work, definitely don't use it.
Yep.
But I'd say try it out, free trial. If not, you can always search for, best remote music software and kind of go through that. But unfortunately, I'm not, that's one of the things I actually don't do is I don't make music. So I can't confidently speak to the best for a music collaboration.
Well, you've done good enough for me.
Yep. But one thing I would say is the absolute best would be to record it to a file, send it, and have someone, interact with the recorded thing. But then you don't get that live kind of practice. But that's something the podcast software should be able to handle.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Do I have any experience with, oh, I already did that. What do I think about security on Zoom? One day I hear it is okay. The next day they say beware. Great question. And I personally am not a huge fan of Zoom. The reason why I use it and I like it is because they have made it incredibly easy to use. Some of the things they have done to make it incredibly easy to use are privacy violation kind of stuff. For example, whenever you install Zoom, you can install Zoom even if you're not an administrator because of the way it installs. And that's kind of reminiscent of like a virus. It kind of gets around security that's already in place. But however, the biggest issue with Zoom that people were talking about was like the Zoom bombing. So like people getting into Zoom meetings they weren't supposed to get into. And there are a couple ways to stop that. The first way that the library took, the first thing they did was we enabled the waiting room. So we can't really get Zoom bombed, because if someone comes into the meeting, they hit the waiting room and we have to physically let them in. The second thing we did is only the host and the co-host are able to share their screen. So people can't really mess with it that much. And we can always just kick someone off. So basically the best thing to do is to have an active presence and monitor it. And the last thing with Zoom, one sec. The last thing with Zoom is it kind of, if you link it with any account like Facebook, supposedly it is giving Facebook information about the Zoom call. And to that, all I would say is don't use Zoom for like secure, don't use Zoom and think it's a secure method of communication. Pretend like anything you say can be seen by someone else. So if you're going over your social security number, don't use Zoom. If we're doing a class for the library where we want everyone to be able to click on a button and join, then Zoom is a great option. The next question was to hold a live class like yoga, what do I recommend? So I've seen some funny videos with yoga on Zoom, and by funny I mean horrific and disturbing. But my answer would still be Zoom, because everyone kind of knows about it, and as long as you have a waiting room set up, and as long as you take a proactive approach, or have someone take a proactive approach to watch what people are doing and kick out the people who are messing stuff up, it should be fine. So my answer to that would be Zoom. Mainly because every device can do it, and it's really easy to use. Because there are more secure options. Like I like this one. Jitsi is a Zoom alternative that is more secure, but I guarantee unless I talk to someone about it, they don't know what Jitsi is. So you kind of, if you run a class like that, you kind of want people just to be able to be like, oh, I know what that is, and click on a link. Jitsi takes a little bit getting used to. There is a one-click jump into a Jitsi call option available, but Zoom is still the what some would consider the gold standard for ease of use. Oh, and another thing, my father-in-law does his yoga classes via Zoom now. So that's what they're using down in Pennsylvania.
So, any more questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim. We really appreciate this. And you should get an affiliated link so that you can earn some income from all our spending that we're going to do.
I hope people don't spend too much based on what I say. But if you have, so like, I just want to say again, under $50, totally fine. only buy the more expensive things if you would use it outside of this. So for example, if you were thinking about buying Bluetooth earbuds anyway for like working out, walking, doing phone calls, so you don't have to hold your phone up to your head, then definitely buy earbuds. Oh, Tim's suit, right. Sorry, Mary, I'm gonna have to show them my
Of
suit.
course.
So as you saw earlier, I also have a link to my pants, but if you wanna be professional, you kind of need a suit.
Partly Proper presents the half suit, a suit for the remote worker, students, casual office employee, call center facility, and the list goes on. We believe you get the idea. We've designed a suit that is easy to put on, comfortable, affordable, and perfectly deceitful for professional webcam use. Traditional suits are expensive and were never designed to be worn at a desk. That's why we invented the half suit. Here's how it works. You put your arms through the front piece, which is fully buttoned, wrinkle resistant, and requires no assembly on your part. Then you clip the back neck piece, grab the proper straps to fasten the back of the suit, and pull to put the Velcro in place. There you have it, a perfectly deceitful suit that's easy to put on and comfortable to wear, with or without pants. This patent-pending suit design features a mock undershirt where the chest piece and sleeves are visible. However, the arms are breathable and only consist of the exterior suit material. The tie is optional and interchangeable and not attached permanently to the suit. We plan to offer multiple undershirt options. So if you're a remote worker, a college graduate preparing for several webcam interviews, even a regular guy with a good sense of humor, whatever your reason for needing an easy suit option, the half suit is the suit for you. Partly Proper presents the half suit. We've got your good side.
So yeah, half joking, but it's kind of awesome. But yeah, that was my suit. What about a half dress? Sorry, I'm not in the market for one, so I didn't look that up. Pants, I just have access to an Amazon bestsellers in men's pajama bottoms. So they're super comfy. I just make sure whenever I'm in Zoom calls that I don't stand up.
I love it. Thank you, Tim. So much good advice.
Honestly, I think that was the best advice so far.
All right, so everyone, if I have your email address, I will send you a copy of the slides, which will have live links in them, as well as this recording. And thank you very much for attending. It was great. And thank you, Tim, for all your good information.
Yeah.
Next week, we're taking a break from Tech Tuesday. It's going to be Tech Thursday, and we're going to be going over Google Classroom. So I hope to see you there, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you have any additional questions, feel free to email Mary, and she'll get in contact with me, and I'll add them to the slides so everyone can see the answers.
That's great. And all right, so I'm going to send my email address out to everyone in chat. I think most of you have it, but just in case. And just feel free to email me, and I will make sure that you get an answer. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.